Good guys, my name is Lord Tomo. Welcome again to another Sonic the Hedgehog toy item collector review. As you know, I'm Lord Tomo, good old blue stay Sonic the Hedgehog. Throw them aside and get to the actual review, which I think this is pretty phenomenal, which is purely for display purposes. This is what I'm probably going to call it, the Prop Shop Vintage and Toy and More Badge Set review. That's probably what I'm going to go with, simply because this isn't exclusively Sonic related. It's more Sega / the retail store related, and I figured, you know, it's pretty nice. Of course, it does have an old vintage look to it, but upon looking further into it, which I will show you of course down the track, it does have kind of this what's the wording for it, this modern feel to it. I think this was actually created recently, but it gives it the whole vintage look to say, hey look, this is kind of a throwback to the 90s or so, which I think is pretty alright in some regards. But it is what it is, and let's get into it. So already you have the blister pack. You have each character. You have 4 badges, massive badges, which I'm guessing it's not designed for clothing, but it's more to pimp out your bags or purse or whatever the case may be, which I think is a pretty phenomenal little thing. But the back itself is pretty phenomenal. Now I am probably going to. You can take it off the hook, but it's so wedged in there that I feel like I'm going to rip the blister board, which I don't necessarily want to do. So it's just a mandatory obligatory sort of standard imagery back of the 90s. You have, of course, good old Raiden there beheading, who I think is Sonya, if I'm not mistaken. Sonya, standard for Italian, it says Raiden win, which is a pretty good badge of sorts. Mortal Kombat wasn't a right game. I'm kind of a Street Fighter guy, if at all. On the other side, you have, of course, Sega, and you have its various characters there. You have Gunstar Hero up there. You have, if I'm not mistaken, I have no what's there. I have no idea. I know of him. I just forgot the game. You have Sonic. You have Ristar. You have Tails. You have is that a Reptile? Yeah, and there's Power Rangers, and there's various other characters who I know most of them. There's Eco the Dolphin, and there's of course Double Dragon. So Eco the Dolphin is all the way up there. You have Double Dragon all the way down there. You have Streets of Rage, and the other two I'm not 100% sure. You have, of course, none other than Alternate Beast, which is one of my favorite games, to be honest, back in the Sega Mega Drive. And I have purchased the PlayStation 2 version. It's not bad, it's just rather the arcade version. And of course you have the obligatory Sonic the Hedgehog there, which is pretty awesome, phenomenal and whatnot. Now the actual blister board, I feel, has more character than the actual badges themselves. I'm not saying the badges are bad in any shape form. It's just the blister pack looks phenomenal. If you look closely, you have various characters. Some you may recognize, some you may not. You have the old school 80s / 90s Godzilla. You have, I'm guessing, who is he? I'm not 100% sure on that one. You have Ninja Turtles, you have Kiss, you have Frankenstein, you have more Kiss characters, you have a guy riding a dinosaur, you have, of course, He-Man, which I think is great, and more characters there who don't necessarily recognize and whatnot. I'll see if I can recognize some more. Oh, you have Batman, old school Batman, up here, down here. Now, the overall initial design gives you this massive influx of colors, variation, and Easter eggs of sorts. And I think this is just one of the pieces where I'm just like, man, this is really impressive. I'm definitely going to have this hanged up and in a display piece. Now, this did initially come in a, if I bring it out, plastic sleeve or so. I took this out simply because, why? Why is the question of the day. And I think this looks way much better in opposed to its plastic sleeve. It's just me. Now, the back itself throws even more Easter eggs of sorts. And I think this just does it for me. So it does have the old vintage background, of course, and it says official store. I've never been to Miami. I'm not entirely sure on the store chains or the retail chains that I have in the States. I only know about the ones in Australia, but I'm guessing this is a popular store of sorts, or maybe a throwback to the stores. I'm not 100% sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, if this is a store that's still open or not. I would like to know. It says we buy. I'm guessing they buy old toys, we sell, and we trade. And I remember this. I actually have one of these monsters, mint condition. I think it's superb. And of course you have kind of like a backdrop of all the various stuff that they currently have, which is like a lot of Power Ranger stuff and very, you know, G.I. Joe stuff and all that sort of stuff. As a kid, I would absolutely lose it living in there. Of course, at the very bottom it says vintage toys, video games, collectibles, comics, LPs, and more. Oh please, I think it says long play disc. And you had this old man that says Pop Shop. I mean, on his home, and it says, "Hey, Prop Shop fans, don't forget we buy and trade." And of course, it has the address and whatnot, and the Facebook page and whatnot. So, and what makes me think this is a recent thing opposed to kind of a vintage thing, at the very bottom it says May 2015. So my guess is this thing kind of is a throwback to the 90s 80s stores, saying, hey, this will once be kind of like a anniversary of sorts. That's the way I see it. How much did I get it for? $20 or up? It was literally me looking through this on the internet, on eBay, and this popped up. I'm like, this is not actually bad. I wouldn't mind having this collection. It's definitely a piece that you can pick up and observe and look and go, okay, this is not half bad. It's a little throwback. I did a little research on this. It does look like it's a legit store of sorts, and you know what? It's pretty impressive. So at $20 rarity, I have absolutely no idea. Maybe this is super legendary rare, 10 stars out of 10, or maybe it's as common can be with 1 star out of 10. I've never seen this pop up ever again. My guess, maybe it's a one-off. Not 100% sure. Don't quote me. Don't be like, oh, you know, don't lose it. But it is what it is. But yeah, let me know on your thoughts. It's definitely a nice piece to have, especially if you want to pimp out your bags and whatnot. I think it's a pretty nice throwback. Personally, the bag I have smaller badges. These ones are pretty big. I'm not going to use this. This is purely for my room display purposes. Hang it up and say, hey, look, this is, do you remember this? And people be like, oh my god, I remember this. So yeah, eBay got it. I don't know if this is a store that still sells it. I really don't know much about this information. Let me know in the comments below if you know anything about this. I truly don't. Anyway guys, thank you for checking out this review. I know it's pretty short, but there's only so much you can really talk about on badges. But remember guys, take care, speed on. Until next time.